Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, and at the same time, the second most watched movie of 2023. People all around the globe are impressed by the unbelievable story of how Robert invented a bomb so strong that the US won the Second World War because of it. But actually there's another really interesting story about him. It was only discussed partly in the movie, but created barriers in his private life and prevented him from getting even more trust and power inside the US Army. Today we will talk about why it was so hard for Oppenheimer to convince everyone that he was the one to build the bomb.
And says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
As Hitler rose to the dictatorship of Germany, Julius Robert Oppenheimer became interested in politics. And during the Civil War in Spain, he became familiar with communist pupils, which leads us to the doubt why people in the army didn't like the idea of fully relying on him. But there was one person who trusted him through the entire time of the Manhattan Project in Los Alamos: Leslie Groves. He oversaw the Manhattan Project while serving as a lieutenant general in the US Army. He was the person who hired Julius to be the head of the secret laboratory, so he could have a big impact on the build of the bomb. Leslie also renounced the security clearance so the team could be faster building the bomb. But why exactly were they in such a hurry? Actually, because Leslie got to know that the Soviets, Japan and Germany were also all constructing a bomb. So that's the story of how Oppenheimer became Los Alamos' leading developer.
But a lot of people doubted that it would be the right decision to put him into this position. So why was that? Well, for starters, many people thought that Robert would be too inexperienced in practical applications for such a damaging weapon. Ever since he was in college, he had been criticized for only being interested in physics theory and only performing a few experiments. Critics pointed out that you couldn't build an atomic bomb just by solving equations. His practical physics skills weren't the only problem though. Oppenheimer's past associations with communists led to a lot of skepticism when recruiting him for the Manhattan Project. His wife, Catherine Oppenheimer, actually was a member of the US Communist Party. There were speculations that Oppenheimer actually was a long-time member of the Communist Party. At first it may seem obvious that this is just a conspiracy theory. After all, Oppenheimer built the bomb and therefore probably contributed the most to the US victory over Japan and at the end of the Second World War. Why should he do this if he were a communist? Let's now take a closer look at what happened after the Second World War. The Axis powers, which mainly consisted of the German Empire, Japan and Italy, were defeated. But as you might know, the time after the Second World War wasn't really a peaceful period and more people started to plead for the US hydrogen bomb program. The hydrogen bomb or H-bomb was an invention of Edward Teller, another physicist that played an important role in the Manhattan Project. During the war, the US struggled to getting enough plutonium or uranium for the atomic bomb. So Teller had the idea of building a fission bomb. To start the fission process, he suggested using a smaller atomic bomb. This smaller bomb could have been built with the resources that were available at that moment. As you just heard, the actual origin of the H-bomb wasn't the process of building the atomic bomb. But it turned out that a hydrogen bomb could be an even stronger weapon. January 31st, 1950.
Harry S. Truman, President of the United States at that time, announced that he supported the development of the US H-bomb. This was a reaction to the first Soviet atomic bomb test just 6 months prior. But Oppenheimer was against the H-bomb project. After World War II, he always positioned himself against the development of the superweapon. This was respected by many because Robert was popular under the Americans after the war. Speculations say that Oppenheimer actually was against the H-bomb because he didn't want the US to build a weapon against his political ideology, communism. This isn't all too improbable because Oppenheimer often pointed out that he didn't support the H-bomb development because it would be too dangerous and could kill too many people. But obviously, the nuclear weapons that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki also killed a lot of people, and he was mainly responsible for that. According to scenes in the movie, he even helped in the process of finding the Japanese city to drop the bomb on. Due to these seemingly contradicting statements, people didn't trust him anymore after the war. A possible reason why he supported the atomic bomb development but not the H-bomb development is that he obviously was the one getting all the glory after the war because he built the atomic bomb. He wouldn't have been able to do that again for the H-bomb because he was already mistrusted so much that he wouldn't have been at the forefront of developing the new bomb anymore. Another reason, which is directly linked to his communist speculations, is that he only built the atomic bomb because it wasn't built against the Soviet Union, but against its and the US's enemies. But the hydrogen bomb would have been used against his communist allies. None of the speculations of Oppenheimer being a member of the Communist Party or supporting the Soviet Union have ever been proven and probably won't be confirmed in the future.
Apart from that, we think that it is seriously interesting learning more about Oppenheimer's personality and what he did, like it is with a lot of other pioneers in history. It is very hard to decide whether Oppenheimer did more harm or good. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and also express your feelings on whether Oppenheimer actually was a Soviet spy.